We are advocating for some funding for the P-Patch facility that's slated for Orcas Island. It's going to be a combined campus for several of the resources that the islanders will need. Food bank, resource center, and some housing for affordable housing.
How much money are you asking for today?
Oh, that's a great question. The actual figure is somewhere around $7 million, and that is for the site preparation for it.
Do you have a personal stake in this?
Yeah, well, Orcas Island is going to be my home for the foreseeable future. It has been exceedingly difficult to have stable housing there. That's my biggest complaint. And so that will be a personal, that's what's really at stake here for me, is to try and find some affordable housing. I do make use of the food bank and the resource center. They are currently are of course already on the island, but having everything in one campus, having everything set so that it's specifically made for the resource center and everything is going to be a big benefit to the community. So,
are you on the list for housing?
I am. I've been on the list for housing for a long time. So,
have you seen the plans?
I have not. I've seen a little bit of the plans, but I am just biding time, waiting for things to actually start happening. So,
can you picture yourself in there?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would actually love to somehow become involved in the actual campus as well. I'm specifically interested in my life. I'm kind of focusing more on sustainability and cyclical economy. So I would like to see at the P-Patch facility also get some, like maybe some kind of lending library for the community. Have a place where people can come to borrow things that they don't use very frequently. That's what I'm picturing in the future.
Well, our project has shifted a little bit. We've refined our budget for site work, and we've reduced the amount for our proposal. We're going to ask for, I think, $6.7 million instead of 7.8. We are just adjusting and down some of the site work, and we've, through our meetings, found some other sources for some of the aspects of the project, like stormwater mitigation, management, that sort of thing. So we're honing it down. We know the budget is tight here in Olympia, and we learned a lot from our meetings in the last couple of weeks.
How is Rick Hughes as a lobbyist?
Oh, Rick's wonderful. He has great relationships in the Capitol, and he works really hard for us. He's setting up a lot of meetings. He's talking to people on both sides of the aisle. He's a gem.
Tell us about what you're going to be doing today.
Today we have a jam-packed schedule of meetings with our District 40 folks, with governor's policy advisors. We're going to have a few meet and greets with key people on capital budget and other committees. And we have this wonderful group of volunteers here from San Juan County. Many of them, their first time to experience the legislative process, so we'll sit in on some hearings, and we are going to have lunch in the cafeteria and have the full meal deal experience of Olympia today.
How soon, if this is if the money that you need is appropriated, how soon could you be breaking ground?
June. We are ready to go. We have our permits submitted. Of course, that takes some time, but we expect to have a green light in the summertime. And if we've got the money, we'll get that site work done in this year, 2025, which we really want to do because it unlocks the housing, and the housing is funded.
My name is Alex Callen, and I've been on Orcas Island since 2010. And I'm just focusing on what it was like finding a place to live, which was difficult. For the first 5 years, I'd been living in a tent, in a shed, in a garage, in an unheated trailer, in my car. couch surfing where I could. And then I had arrangements where I actually got a room in a place, and then somebody else got a room in a place, and they were totally unstable, ended up trashing all my stuff. Back on looking for another place. And then in another situation, some people ended up being addicts, and they stole a lot of my stuff, and so I'm back in my car living at Trailheads again. It was really difficult. I was reliant on the food bank and a camp stove for my meals, and finally a friend suggested that I apply for an OPAL apartment, and reluctantly, I was a little hesitant, but reluctantly I did so, and the waiting list is really long, sometimes years long because of the housing crisis. But being single with no pets, I was on top of the list in only 9 months. It seems like a long time, but it was only 9 months. That's a short period of time considering the limited housing. So the apartment's real small, very simple. Bedroom, bathroom, and a kitchen, shower, stove, refrigerator, and a roof over my head with long-term, permanently affordable housing, and it was a big game changer for me. I went from being in struggles and trauma and trying to survive to being comfortable, safe, and able to thrive, pursuing my interests. My health improved, productivity improved, my ability to help others greatly increased. I was able to pursue, things that I love, like writing and working on a book, music, and playing an instrument, and singing, and stuff like that, which were way out of my realm, when I was trying to survive in my car. Still really low income on the scale of things, but just having my tiny little apartment makes me feel rich, and I absolutely love it. Most importantly, I'm able to help others. Sometimes people that are in the same situation I used to be in, and I'd bring them food or whatever. I've been able to help elders. Somehow I gravitate to that. I was a caretaker for a centenarian, and right now I help 3 couples that are octogenarians, and none of it was possible before I got my OPAL apartment. And like I said, it's made all the difference in the world. There's a major housing crisis on Orcas Island, and when we all help each other, we all rise together.
Hi, my name is Lynn Diggs, and I live on Orcas Island.
What's your story?
Well, I moved to Orcas Island in 2003, and the plan was to be there for the winter. I take care of homes, and I was taking care of a friend's home, and I got pregnant. These things happen. And so we thought, of course, it's going to be one. It ends up being twins. My twins came 2 months early, and one of my daughter had a birth trauma where she contracted a bacteria in the hospital, kind of the super bacteria that only grows in hospitals. And they removed about 5 inches of her small intestine. She had a bag on the outside of her body, and she was in the hospital about 6 weeks. We brought her home, and we were able to care for her at home for 3 months until she was brought back in, and they put her stomach back or her small intestines back together. We came home, and being that they were identical twins, you could tell that they weren't as identical as we expected, and it took a few months for them to actually give us a diagnosis of quadriplegia, cerebral palsy, and legally blind. She has vision but cannot control her eye movements. So she had no fine or gross motor skills, and at the same time, the people where we were staying, our friends, their daughter wanted to have a child at their house, so we needed to move, and we had a rental that was my partner, who was starting his massage therapy business, was paying 70% of his income for us to stay in a place, and I was home with 2 babies, and there was a day, and the house was for sale, and there was a day someone came to us and said, "We're going to buy your house," and And again, I'm still, after 9 months, still trying to make sense of all that's happened. But they had a home in the Community Land Trust on Orcas and said, maybe you want to buy our house. And I wasn't sure that we could buy a house. But my partner took care of everything while I was really just caring for the girls. Within a few months, we were able to rent from those folks until we were able to buy it in March of 2006. In that time, my partner was able to create a successful business when I was being a mom. My one daughter, who I was caring for 24/7, I was with, while my other daughter could run our neighborhood. It was a safe place. There were 24 homes. We know all our neighbors, and I was able to be the mom that I needed to be for them. I thought maybe I was going to be a different mom, but so my daughters were successful. The neighborhood, the island, it's a small community. People knew her. And if you were to come upon her, you may not think that she had a lot to offer. But she has, she's verbal, and I read to her all the time. Everything is auditory, so the school was amazing in teaching her and giving her, being able to do, Algebra 2, and everything was auditory. They did very well. And my daughter is now at Whitman College, the one who has CP. My other daughter got into Harvard with a full ride, and it was due to having a stable place to live. A stable place to live that was affordable, that it wasn't stressful for me to be a mom and to take care of my girls. And now my partner is at college with my daughter and lives in a dorm with her because she still needs 24/7 care, but she is very political. She is into history, philosophy, classics, and she is a force. And my other daughter is now into sociology, political science, going to be a lawyer at Harvard. And I will always come back to having a stable place to live. Created success, and we were able to thrive.
Thank you for that. Do you ever think about how different your life would be if you hadn't moved to Orcas?
Yes, in that it wasn't in my plan. I was only going to be there for the winter and leave, and because I was able to stay, because we had a place to stay, yes, it would have been very different. I would have needed different support. There was a community there that took care of us, that knew us, believed in us, supported us when we needed help, and yeah, I can't imagine if we would have had to go back. I grew up in Minneapolis. My partner grew up in Cleveland. What that would have looked like, and I'm incredibly grateful. Incredibly grateful.
What's your hopes in your visits here today?
Well, I'm hoping that we can bring our P-Patch project forward, seeing the importance of what it means for people, and that when you have housing and stable housing, that actually you can thrive, you can be helpful to the community, you can feel successful. And I want, I have a neighborhood in which one of the people who live there is residents. She's blind, and I know she's looking for housing in the P-Patch community. So I love to think that there's people I know, many people I know who could take advantage of that housing.
My name is Bob Morris.
And what's your position with
Well, I do multiple things with the P-Patch project. I'm on the OPAL board. I've been the president of the food bank board for quite some time, and I'm on the steering committee and the finance committee for P-Patch. And my wife has said that she's going to change her name to P-Patch so that it will appear on my schedule. Wasn't entirely a joke.
So, what kind of message did you bring to the state capitol today?
The message was, number one, I think the message was our recipients, the people who actually, benefit from the services, was the message they really need to hear, and they did great. My message was minimal. I just want people to know that we really are serious about spending every dollar from whatever source well. I've spent a lot of time talking to people who built food banks all around the country, many of whom I knew, and we work on the solar project. We work on every aspect of the building and the project to make it highly efficient, and my goal is to have a good building that's functional in our community for at least 75 years. And so that's been kind of my thought process. That's what I've been looking at, is how to make a great building that's going to be functional, useful for 75 years.